Have you heard of color.com?
Color.com?
Yeah.
No.
I just heard about this. It's one of those like 23andMe kind of sites, like you get your genome sequenced. But the color.com one, it just screens you for the 30 most common types of cancer if you're a genetic, like if you have genetic potential, or you have risk factors genetically for like just like we're not interested in how tall your great grandkids are going to be. It's just looking for cancer. And I think it was like $250, but good information. It's a kind of it's based on like, all right, if you get this information, tell your doctor.
And it's legit.
It's legit. It's like, it's doctors doing this. But then if you are a carrier for any of these genes, any like direct relative can get sequenced for $50.
Oh, that's cool.
So like, all right, well, because it's gonna be like a 50-50 chance if you are carrying, then like someone who shares your genes will have it. So I'm kind of, that's not bad. Yeah, learn your risk for the most common hereditary cancers. Color analyzes 30 genes, including the BRCA1 and BRCA1 and BRCA2, to help women and men understand their risk for the most common hereditary cancers, including breast, ovarian, colon, and pancreatic cancer. I think that for the most part, on all of those, colon cancer and pancreatic cancer, I think are just totally treatable if you get it. Like I think early identification, you're probably gonna be fine. Yeah, for the most part. I think that's my sense of this. It's the outliers of, I'm one of the 500 people this year that got that this disease is hit. Yeah, and I'm gonna die. And it's like, well, yeah, you're one of the 500, and that's just like an outlier. But like for the most common ones, I think for the most part, if you get them early, you can treat it. I have a feeling that it's too late for me. I think it's been years. It's been oh fuck.
I was thinking about you actually. I was watching a newer like food documentary, and as intelligent as you are, I find it interesting that you don't adopt the ideal of nutrition influencing your overall health and preventing or reversing these kinds of things, including cancer and heart disease and stuff like that. And just how much a part of that the animal proteins and fats play into kicking that shit way up. And we've had a lot of late night talks about
a vegetarian diet versus or a vegan diet versus
and
diet.
Why humans eat meat and the history behind that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to actually come into it, because I think we've had conversations just based on our own like, this is what works for what I believe, but we haven't had a conversation based on, neither one of us had a ton of like actual research data.
Well, only our personal experience.
Yeah, so things that maybe you and I have looked up that that agree with what we want.
Exactly.
So I would say that for both of us, we do not have a objective view of the information.
Well, here's the thing, because I spent 29 years of my life as a meat eater, and I know what that feels like. And I know what that does to me. And now, the last 4.5 years, I've been the opposite of that, and I know what that feels like now.
Right.
So there's a bit more of a overarching view. Where have you ever tried to live that lifestyle?
No, to go meat free. Yeah. I mean, I've certainly had periods of my life where my meat consumption has been way lower, or I shouldn't say way lower, but like, relative to, but I've never been 100% of my diet is meat, or I'm not eating meat ever. Right. Like, I've always kind of been somewhere in the middle, but they're never like consciously, never like, I'm going to make this is a choice to eat less meat. Right. But I've also never consciously, I need to eat more meat.
Yeah. I need to get some more meat.
Gotta get some more meat. I've always eaten meat.
For me, I mean, I don't think anyone really could deny the intense mistreatment of animals in the farm agricultural system. But for me, it was the idea that animal products are contributing significantly to the rise in the cancer and the heart disease and diabetes, and that changing the way that you eat, the nutrition affects all of that stuff. And there's plenty of cases where people have changed their diet for 2 weeks, reduced their inflammation, got off all these dozens of prescription drugs that they had to take or thought they had to take to treat these symptoms of these diseases, and then got rid of them just by eating differently, mostly excluding animal products.
What are your thoughts on like sugar in
that's another
relation
big issue
to heart disease, cancer, inflammation?
Well, that's another thing. It all really, for me, it all comes back to food industry, food products. And of course, food industry and marketing is going to tell you mostly this thing is less than the other thing. It's not
from a cost perspective.
Or no, less. It's less fat. It's less sugar, but less of something that is terrible is not good. But they've also introduced more and more sugar into all types of foods that it doesn't even belong in, just to make it taste better, which has increased the resistance to insulin and created a diabetes problem that is real messed up. And quality of meat and dairy has gone way, way down because you have to produce so much more, because most people believe that is what they should be eating. So there's more people in the world, and we got to make more of it. And the quality has gone way down, and you got to supplement it with chemicals and fillers. It's just not sustainable, firstly. And it's just increasingly bad for the people ingesting it. I mean, there's really no wonder that people have more of all this bad stuff now.
Oh, yeah, disease-wise.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. We could do an episode on it.
We'd have to pick. It's a pretty general topic, but some aspect of it I would be interested in talking about.
Like disease causing, or I don't know, like what health metric would we...
Well, I mean, you and I are both concerned about something like cancer. How do we not get cancer?
Yeah. Because I mean, there's like what you just said. I mean, there's socioeconomics. There's a whole like
cult. It's multi-layered.
Yeah, it's not just health. It's also like the society and culture we live in. People that, hey, I got to eat. Right.
What's the cheapest thing? It's fucking garbage, and then that also plays into it.
But it's not just what's the cheapest thing. It's what's the highest calorie amount for the cheapest. Not just like, well, like steak isn't cheaper than vegetables. So you just saying eating meat, it's like, but McDonald's, a meal at McDonald's for $5 is 900 calories. Yeah, and if I get $5 to spend today, it's like, so a lot of times that's one side of this conversation. It's like, this person's eating meat, but they're not thinking about it as I'm eating meat. I'm eating 900 calories today.
Yeah.
Or 1,100 calories.
How much of that 900 calories is actually nutritious to your body?
But again, at that point, it's like that's someone who we're for the sake of the scenario, has like $5 to spend on food.
Right. But they don't believe that $5 could be spent on non-McDonald's food and get you that far, which could.
Right.
A more nutrient-dense selection of food for $5 will get you farther and not contribute to your detriment as much as that McDonald's meal will.
Yeah, I mean, that is one side of diet, but I think that has as much to do with like poverty,
of course,
not just it gets, so it's not necessarily the same thing as a diet that includes animal products and a diet that doesn't. That's more like given the choice for this person eating this, like with time to educate themselves.
A lot of people don't.
They don't have time.
Either they don't feel they have a choice, or they quite literally don't have much of a choice as to what they can eat.
Yeah, and there's also places in the country where in the world where there's nothing else.
Right.
Unless you have, we get our family farm and we're growing a wide variety of things for ourselves. Like, it's more, this is Calcutta, baby.
It takes effort.
Yeah. Which I think is still the poverty side of it for people that are severely impoverished. It's like, I don't have, how many hours a day do I have to? And
I got 4 kids. I'm taking them to
We're making $1 a day.
Yeah.
I don't have time for this shit.
Yeah.
Which I think that, again, that is kind of
it's a whole trickle down.
It's a whole trickle down thing.
Because those people and those kids eat that stuff, are in that situation. It perpetuates. The kids are not getting the nutrients that they need.
Mm-hmm.
They become less functional, less thriving people in the future. And then that cycle continues. And that's a whole nother part of why, especially the American diet, is so bad. I think diet plays into it much more significantly than most people assume.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how could it not? That is your fuel for your body, and not just your body, everything inside of it,
mm-hmm.
and your brain and your organs. If you put stuff that is mostly synthetic, mostly food product, not actual whole food, it's not all that surprising that doesn't do you any good. And then you get a whole host of problems that we've never had before as a human race, or significantly worse than ever. And then going back to the whole healthcare industry, we're treating symptoms
mm-hmm.
rather than trying to cure diseases.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's interesting. I think there are genes in some kind of like subsets of human beings, like if you're from a certain region on Earth that maybe had experienced extreme periods of like drought or famine, just general food shortages throughout history. The people that survived through those, extended periods of time, they seem to self-select for like this starvation gene, meaning that they were able to, in times of plenty or times when there was enough, they would like just eat and store food.
Yeah.
At that point, it was like, hey, you gained, 5 pounds. That'll get you through the winter. It wasn't. But then those genes are still there. So now you flash forward to a time like right now where you can walk into a supermarket and it's like, there's more food in a supermarket than probably that, theoretical tribe of people would see in a year.
Yeah.
And it's just right there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this like 10,000-year-old gene that's going, dude, eat all this.
Eat all of it.
Yeah. And you just so happen to live in a time where it's super easy to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that the rise or the health effects of diet, apart from, starvation, like just not having any food, they're only going to be felt more and more the easier it is to get food.
Yeah.
Because it's only getting easier to eat. So there's like this history of it being really difficult to eat at all, anything.
But it's also easier to make the better choice than it ever has been.
Right.
We don't have to eat meat in order to survive or in order to get any of the nutrients that you might find in meat. You just don't have to do it.
Yeah. It's funny, I'm thinking about it now. It's like we're the product of a species that survived.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say I listen to some books on tape at work sometimes.
Yeah.
It just makes up the podcast. I listen to Sapiens, and he was talking about at one point there were 6 different types of humans.
Right.
So we're Homo sapiens, and there was like these other Homo, whatever.
Yeah.
I can't remember the names off the top of my head. And
they sucked.
But there were 6 distinct kind of like evolutionary tracks.
Okay.
So we had a common ancestor, but then we split. But then we were all, at one point, like 150,000 years ago, there were still 6 distinct species of human beings populating the earth. And for the majority of history of human beings on earth, there was more than just Homo sapiens. We happened to be born in a time where the other 5 have died out. And this is recent history.
Yeah.
So this is a kind of an anomaly.
In the grand scheme.
In the grand scheme, this is an anomaly that it's only Homo sapiens. And like you said, it's easier now to make a choice of what you eat than it ever has been before. We're the ones here now because the Homo sapien line survived through all the times when it was difficult to eat. So like the process of natural selection is that we're really good at times when it's not easy to eat.
Sure.
So it's what I'm saying is like it's just funny now that we've been a self-selecting group that survives in difficult times.
Yeah.
And we're living in an easy time.
Well, in one sense, but we're talking about these major diseases that we're trying to avoid because of the evolution that we've taken in our dietary path.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff is directly linked to our diet. The heart disease, the diabetes, the cancer. These species that you're talking about, they didn't die off from cancer. Our species is dying off from cancer. The cancer is...
They died off because we outcompeted them.
Well, yeah.
That's the
but
great
we have
thing,
a whole different set of problems now.
Yeah. One last thing about that, that we were talking about 23andMe.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying like a lot of people have like 3% Neanderthal DNA because you could
fucking
but not only they were fucking, but they could get pregnant and then that offspring would be viable.
Yeah,
that's how close we were.
Well, sure.
So it's kind of like I don't know. It's like wolves and dogs,
right?
Or
close enough.
Like, close enough. Coyotes and dogs. Like it's. Yeah. But then you have something like a horse and a mule or a donkey, but it's not, that donkey is not sexually viable. The 2 donkeys can't have a donkey.
Oh, weird.
So they're close enough to have offspring, but it's not then viable. That offspring's not then viable to continue.
Huh.
So we were close enough to Neanderthals that genetic material could pass down.
Right.
And you're still a Homo sapien. Isn't that that fucking yeah? But then it's also it's kind of a road sign in the spread of humanity because Neanderthals only existed in certain parts of the world. So if you have the Neanderthal like genetics within you, you can trace back 40,000 years, 100,000 years, like to where your ancestors actually were. Because there's no other way. Sense. Like you couldn't have evolved. Your ancestors couldn't have been in South America,
right?
Because people weren't there, And like,
wow.
I don't know. It's just one of those weird things where if you don't have the Neanderthal, you might have these other genetic markers from the other human lines,
right?
Because they were all sexually viable offspring, which is fucking nuts. Back to diet. I think, the choice is wide.
Yeah.
Where do you land on if you come across that like hunter-gatherer people had a more varied and sustaining diet than humans did when they specialized and began farming?
Okay.
Meaning that, once you start farming, like, all right, I'm putting all my eggs in this basket for wheat.
Yeah.
And then if I grow enough wheat, I can trade for, here's some wheat for whatever, some corn or whatever your neighbor's growing or raising. But if not, all right, I got this wheat.
Right.
I can eat this. But you spend all your time cultivating this crop as opposed to just, migrating and following the seasons and, people they'll follow a herd.
Right.
And like they'll try to hunt one animal, and then on the way, like, oh, well, let's eat some of these berries along the way. So you kind of, as you're moving, you're eating,
right,
and you're eating stuff that, like, throughout the environment. Do you think like variation in the diet, or how important is that to you?
Well, variation for sure, but you got to remember that there's far wider variation in the fruit and vegetable and grain and seed and nut world than there is in the animal. Especially in the American diet, we eat cows and chickens primarily.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of turkey, a little bit of pork, and the rest of it, that's not for eating. We don't eat horses or cats or dogs or, the many, many, many other animals that there are. But all of the grains and fruits and vegetables, etc., everything else has a huge variety to pull from.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you can have a very, very wide variety of a diet, even if you exclude animal products.
Mm-hmm.
I eat more things than I ever did in my life previously. You still get in ruts though. You tend to go to the same
here's another sweet
type
potato.
of stuff. Yeah.
Here's another sweet potato.
Yeah.
Here's another sweet potato. And then you stop, and then you're like, corn.
Right.
Corn. Yeah, I kind of get that.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll get that way.
But I mean, yes, we can explain away the thousands of years before us in diet and how we got to where we are. But now we're here, and now we have the choice, and now we know that the type of meat that you're going to eat today is not even the type of meat that you would have eaten even 60 to 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just different. And it's whatever argument you could make for why we do or should eat animal products, the longer that we go and the more detriment we see to ourselves
mm-hmm.
and our bodies from eating this way, I don't see why it's all that difficult to decide to not do that.
Be an interesting thing to actually do some research on.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people on both sides.
Sure.
And both sides with doctors.
Right. Most doctors in medical school aren't learning about nutrition. They're learning about surgeries, treatments, procedures, chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a backlash years ago. They tried to have a mandate that the doctors and nurses had at least 7 hours of training a year
mm-hmm.
in nutrition. And like medical boards pushed back hard about why that would just be not necessary and not useful. 7 hours out of a year? Why wouldn't you do that? But there was like significant pushback against it.
I did look up the China study.
Yeah.
I did not in depth.
Mm-hmm.
But that was just the title of a book, it seemed like.
Right.
So it wasn't necessarily...
It's from a while back, though.
Yeah. And then they said that it didn't explain there was a rise in stomach cancer in China.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it's more than meat or not meat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, really, dairy is a huge problem as well. I mean, it's just liquid meat, really. And
gross.
Right? When you think about it that way. But I mean, think about it. Why on earth would we ingest the milk of another species, specifically of a cow? A cow's milk is meant to turn a calf into a cow.
Yeah.
Why would we want to put that into us?
Well, I think, I don't know if there's any one reason, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's we don't do that with other animals for some religious reason, like, or,
mm-hmm.
Myth going back 10,000 years. There's it's like, why is pork off the menu for a lot of people?
Right.
It's not,
Who knows what we
it's
do.
not, well, there's a lot of religious reasoning for stuff like that, and then that becomes cultural. My friend from India, he doesn't eat beef.
Mm.
And he was talking about it as like it's not so much for him. He's like, it wasn't so much. It's not a religious thing, like that the cow is holy, but it's like culturally, no one eats beef over there. So he's like, it's like it'd be like going somewhere and them saying, do you eat monkey?
Yeah,
we all do.
Yeah,
and it's like, no, I don't. That's really weird. Like, what are you talking about? It's weird. Everyone eats monkey.
Dude,
so it's just like a cultural thing where we would never. It's
also a cultural thing for us that we eat a lot of meat, and then we make it the center of a meal rather than a garnish on it. Like a lot of Asian countries, when they do implement meat, it's not the main part of it.
That's could just
portions are way smaller.
That could just be availability too. I mean,
yeah.
So historically, if like as those cuisines are developing, meat's a scarce item to begin with. We can't make it it can't be a staple because there's just like in Papua New Guinea, there's very little meat on the island, and people are subsisting on like yarrow root. I mean, just it's almost like they talk about like chewing celery. You burn more calories than when you're getting out of celery.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the diet Papua New Guinea previously. Like the population was kept in check. Just the number of calories on the island was not enough for like the population to explode. So the technology on the island never really developed past a certain level of like, hunter-gatherer tribe level spear and some maybe bow and arrow kind of technology, because it's just like there's not enough food. We don't have enough people to do that much thinking about stuff because we can't have any more people. I think they would keep their population in check with like infanticide. Just like, we don't have time. We gotta get rid of this baby. Like this is hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
But because of that, when there is meat, it is the centerpiece. Right. Like we live in a place where you can grow a lot of anything, vegetable or meat product.
Yes.
I think at the point of European contact in the United States, what is now the United States, there's like 30 million bison, 20 million antelope, 5 million white-tailed deer. And by the turn of the 1900, I think almost all the bison were gone. There's a couple hundred left. Like in order to repopulate bison in the West, they had to transport bison from the Bronx Zoo by rail. That's how few bison there were.
Oh, wow.
So bison, and that was from the market hunters. So people would go through and then you have this huge population boon because there's tons of food here.
Yeah.
We can have all the babies we want. Bring more people, Yeah. But yeah, so I think the meat centerpiece thing, it's a cultural thing as much as like if you're from a culture where the cuisine developed in a time where meat wasn't around.
Yeah.
The cuisine would not revolve.
But it evolves, and that's where we go like to the China study, where the influx of the American influence increases, especially dairy consumption, which increases the instances of cancers related to that stuff.
Yeah. That's my question. Because you say that with certainty that it's specifically dairy.
That is a big part of that study, especially the introduction of cow's milk.
Yeah, that's where like a red flag goes up for me.
Okay,
I'm with you that the introduction of like the Western diet as like this panacea, this kind of like it's everything that wasn't there before that is now there.
Yeah,
and there's a negative effect. I totally track that and follow that.
Yeah,
narrowing it down specifically to any one of those things, I think.
Sure, that's just what stands out to me,
right? But I think that that's a leap for me.
Okay,
to say of everything that we introduced, it's milk that's causing this.
Well, not solely, no,
or dairy,
that was not a staple of that diet before, and when the influx of that rises, so does the instance of.
But you're saying that like
cancer.
It's not just dairy. It's like everything from the West
No, there seemed to be a specific correlation between dairy intake and disease. Have you seen Forks Over Knives?
No.
That the doctor that wrote that book is fairly prominent in that one. I'd be interested if you see the same information and data that I've seen and how you interpret it.
Okay. Forks Over Knives.
Yeah, that's a good one.
China Study.
China Study plays heavily into that one. The doctor that wrote that book.
Do you think Forks Over Knives would cover it?
Yeah. There's a good portion of that dedicated to references to the China Study in there. So you'll hear the information that I'm referencing.
Okay.
That I'm recalling.
Like my gut feeling in general is I would be surprised if the study's been done that can definitively say anything.
Yeah, but there's plenty that has to say a lot. What really gets me is when people who have chronic illnesses, chronic inflammation, diabetes especially, they change their lifestyle, they change their diet, and within weeks see a significant change in the reliance on the pills and the medication. That speaks volumes to me.
Yeah. And then I guess the question there is, can they keep up with the change? If they do keep up with the change, do the results get better beyond like an 8-week period? So like an 8-year period? Because
I've seen, before and after, and not only do they just say, I feel a lot better, they look significantly better.
Right. Because I've also heard a lot about like there's any drastic change in your life, there's an immediate effect that's like highly visible. Here's the first month or first 2 months that I stopped drinking alcohol, and here was the effect.
Yep.
And then there's that change, but then it's, can you still not drink? And then if you can't, and you start drinking again, what happened? I mean, it's more. I'm more interested in like a long game.
Yeah. Well, if I was somebody who was taking 14 different types of prescriptions, and then within several weeks, I reversed that and I didn't have to take all of them, for me, that would be a pretty clear choice to continue on that path.
Right. And then
rather than where I was.
But then it's like, what is happening a year after that?
Yeah.
Is that same person back on pills? Are they on different pills? Are they continuing with the same, whatever change was? Was that sustainable for them? Unsustainable for them? Like it's, to me, it's seeing a drastic change from a drastic lifestyle choice within 2 months is not surprising. I mean, that only makes sense. But where it goes from, like how long the effects are, how positive the effects are, and then the effect on that person's life, like just, for the rest of their life.
But when you're told that you're going to need to take this medication for the rest of your life, and then you change your diet significantly, or you maybe even not all that significantly, you just take out certain things that seem to be contributing to your problem, and then those symptoms and those problems get significantly reduced or eliminated, then that seems to point to a problem, again, to I'm a doctor, I'm going to treat your symptoms, but I don't want to completely eliminate them because I want to keep treating you. I want to keep...
Yeah, or I've only taken 7 hours of nutrition, so...
If that.
They don't know any better anyway.
Right.
It could be, it's not malicious, it's like...
That's not the business that they're in.
Yeah. It's naivety, not...
So people taking more control, trying to gain more awareness of their options beyond drugs. I mean, just regardless, is a good thing.
Well, we could use me as a guinea pig.
I would love that. Your wife would love that too, I'm sure.
I don't think that she really cares. I mean, or she wouldn't. She doesn't pressure me to not eat meat.
Sure.
But
she was...
When she sleeps, I typically put meat in her. I just have some steak and some burgers and just rub it on her pillow.
Yep.
I think she just wants me to be wrong more than
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what it is.
Women.
You know, I very well could be, but my gut tells me that it's not as simple as there's more at work than like whether or not you take in dairy or meat or not. That seems too simple.
Maybe it does, but maybe it is.
Yeah, but then this gets back to, I think this was, the longer conversation that you and I had.
Mm-hmm.
The bigger disagreements or points that we disagreed upon was that history of the species point. And I think that your perspective is that we live in a world now that we don't need to eat meat.
Mm-hmm.
You could eat a vegan diet and take one supplement, just take a B12 supplement, and you're covered.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's more to why our species has made it this far. And eating meat and dairy wasn't just like this crutch for 150,000, 200,000 years that we've been waiting to get rid of. Like our genes have been...
But the argument also on my side is the quality of that meat and dairy which was consumed versus the agriculture.
Right. So I went turkey hunting because I don't want to eat like meat that was just like a cow in a stockade with covered in cow shit.
Right. Which is mostly what it is.
Yeah, that's the beef industry. I have no interest in eating that.
Right.
I still want to eat meat, and I want to eat the highest quality meat. So that's where I was interested in going turkey hunting. I
understand. But why do you want to eat meat?
I think that, I think it's fair to say that I don't, meat is not like, I eat meat once a day, if that, not every day. So it's a part of my diet, but it's not like I don't eat 3 meals a day where there's a pile of meat.
Right.
And I eat a lot of other fruits and vegetables throughout the day, and nuts and seeds. And I think that the meat is another source of nutrition.
Do you think that you get something from meat that you can't get anywhere else?
I think I get something from meat in a different way. And
so you eat it because you think you should or have to, or just because you like it?
I think that intuitively, I think I should.
Okay. I get that.
And like to me, it's like another food source.
Mm-hmm.
And I think intuitively that's a big part of like my feeling on this is that it makes sense to me that I should eat meat.
Yeah, but where did that come from?
A couple 100,000 years of evolution. I mean, that's like...
But it also comes from growing up when our parents and the agriculture industry at large tells us that is what we should do. We all remember the 4 food groups, and meat is a huge part of that. Dairy is a huge part of that. That's just what we're told.
Yeah, but grain was the biggest part of that.
Was it the biggest?
Yeah.
Because that's not what I remember.
On the food pyramid?
Yeah.
Grain's the bottom. Grain's the foundation.
Yeah, but what kid is like, oh, I can't wait to eat some
sugary
some rice
cereal
and shit. Yeah, I want to eat cereal.
Or corn.
And with milk, and I want to eat chicken nuggets. Because that's...
Yeah, but the grain being the base, though, I mean, it's not that I'm not paying attention to like nutrition, but in the last couple of years, everything that I've been hearing has been more about the effects of sugar and gluten. It's been like a big thing in the news.
Yeah, but that's also, there's marketing afoot in every aspect of diet.
Right.
So gluten-free, there's a basis in truth. And a lot of people just are gluten intolerant. A lot more people are dairy intolerant, though. A true gluten intolerance seems to be a pretty small faction of the population.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what's the actual allergy for gluten? Celiac.
Yes.
Celiac is like 2% or 4% of people are actually celiac. Like they have an allergic reaction. Then people are saying that they're gluten intolerant. More of what I've been hearing lately has been focused on the effects of like simple carbohydrates that break down into sugar in our body, and then refined sugars that are just in shit.
Yeah.
And
the refined sugar is a problem.
And I've been hearing those things are more of a contributing factor to heart disease, diabetes, all the ailments we've been talking about, and almost supplanting previous belief.
But where's that coming from?
That's coming from the same places that have been saying that dairy or fat.
I don't think it's coming from the same places, because
it's like, change the name, but like the sources.
Yeah. So I mean, wouldn't it make sense that there would be a push from one side of the industry to, I mean, it's lower fat. We're going to take it's fat free or whatever, but there's more sugar in it. Okay, so there's less sugar, but there's more something else. It's a constant.
But I think, sugar is subsidized in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the government has been spending money on sugar. You have a protected interest there.
Yeah.
That wouldn't want anyone thinking that sugar was bad.
Right.
And this goes back, I think, to like the 60s, where you had these scientists saying it's like saturated fat is causing heart disease.
Mm-hmm.
And then those same scientists on their deathbed are saying that I was lying because I was paid off by the sugar
industry. Yeah.
So I would say I agree that the prevalence of certain diseases like diabetes is as higher now than it ever has been. And we see that in many all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think diet has changed, but I don't think it's more or less meat or dairy. I think it's a lot more sugar.
Sugar is a big problem. I don't think it supplants the problem of animal product intake.
Yeah, and that's where like the logic doesn't. I don't follow that logically. Your base is that the diet has changed, or the diseases have increased,
mm-hmm.
and I think that people have more or less eaten meat within relative amounts. Like again, there's certain areas where the meat is just not available.
Yeah,
or is super low.
We're talking about America, where the consumption of meat has risen.
It's gone down.
No.
Yeah.
There's no way it's gone down.
And what time frame are you talking about?
In the last 40 years.
Before,
maybe in the last 5 or 10 years, it's reduced somewhat. But the problems seem to have come in the last 40, 50 years of incredible increase in consumption.
We can look it up. But I think before like Quaker Oats,
mm-hmm.
that was a big marketing campaign in the mid 1800s. And why are government websites like the most complicated? But before like Quaker Oats became a breakfast thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have oats for breakfast. People were eating steak for breakfast. But it was like, don't start your day on steak, and then it was like the Quaker Oats guy that's in the box. I think he was like proselytizing oats for breakfast. But he was like, well, you're selling oats. All right. But all that to be said, like, why the fuck is shit so hard to find?
They don't want you to find it, bro.
A history of U.S. meat consumption. These are all his hats. Americans eat more meat per person than residents of almost any other country, but what meat they eat has evolved and will continue to adapt. Our lifestyles and preferences have changed. Most people don't sit down to eat a 20-ounce steak anymore. Most of us are perfectly happy to have a quality 8-ounce steak.
What?
Red meat demand slips, while chicken gains. Chicken's like, quote unquote, healthier. I've obviously only done 2 seconds of digging. Mm-hmm. Developing and emerging. How much space does meat earn on our plates? That's determined by the economy, production levels, and food habits. In the past few decades, U.S. consumers have cut back on protein and picked new favorites. But that's only half the story. As incomes grow in other parts of the world, people will spend more on protein products, increasing demand for U.S. meat. So it's got like marketing meat.
Yeah, there are think tanks devoted to the next product, the Baconator, the double Crunchwrap, the triple Whopper.
Per capita consumption. Okay. So per capita consumption of poultry and livestock. I'm guessing in pounds. Total red meat in 1960, 131 pounds. There's too many things. This is total red meat. For 131 pounds in 1960, it's going up. Well,
I'm sorry, was that per person?
Yeah, per capita. Yeah, so in 1960, people ate 131 pounds of, that's like beef and pork, so like red meat, all together. Mm-hmm. And a serving is like half a pound, and then you cook it, so it's like by the time it's done, it's a little less. So it's like 260 days a year they had meat, or one of those meat for one meal of the day. So 60s 131, it's getting up to, in 1968 it's 144, 71 it's 149. It's kind of dropping in the mid 70s economy. 2016 estimate is 106. 2015 was 104. Chicken.
Well, like I said, I think that, I mean, if that is the case, it seems to me that it would be the dichotomy between people. I mean, there's more people that are not eating meat than ever before as well. But a lot of people that are eating meat are probably eating more meat than they ever have.
That's a good point. We look up number of vegetarians. Be good. Mm-hmm. Here's a total red meat and poultry. So it's 1960s, 165. I'm going to skip ahead. So it's eating a lot more chicken.
Yeah, I'm sure people are eating a lot more chicken now than
it's 214.
Comparatively. Oh, boy. That's the thing. People say, oh, you want to eat less red meat, more chicken. But there's plenty. You eat more chicken, then we got to make more chicken. And then
wait a minute.
The problems.
This is from the National Chicken Council. Let me, when I just typed the other thing in and I saw the top of that. All right.
Whoops.
Fuck that. Oh yeah, we're eating 100 pounds more chicken a year. Sure we are. Yeah, sure.
You see where the problems lie.